right, moving on to our main section of the episode, our winners and losers. We'll start with you, mate. Our first winner of the day. Who are you going with here?
Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins, huge winners. The bloke looked like an absolute beast. Obviously, he had a bit of a, I think he had like 80 yards or something against the Rams. People were kind of asking a few questions, but came out against the Cardinals, absolutely beasted it, and basically proving that this quarterback draft class is one of the best we've seen for a very long time. Because Burrow, Herbert, and Tua are all freaks.
Yeah, they're absolutely flying. It looked like Tua might have been letting down the boys after that first match, but
Yeah,
it's looking like that was just a one-off against a very good defense, and yeah, put on an absolute clinic. I was mostly impressed by his rushing plays. I didn't really like. I know he's a mobile QB, but I didn't really like when he tucked the ball under his arm. He actually like full sent it, and he like wasn't scared to get hit and stuff, which was good to see. I like when quarterbacks just do that. But yeah, awesome performance from the Dolphins, and yeah, week after week, their chances of making the playoffs get stronger, and this was a huge win for them because now, like a big win over a tough team like that is definitely going to help their case. But yeah, Tua's looking awesome, and I'm liking the Dolphins.
Yep.
We'll talk about in a little bit whether we think they'll make the playoffs or not. But yeah, very excited. I feel like I've got to shout out my mate from cricket, Dill Vanderwerp. He talks to me about the Dolphins in the potty every week, so we're talking about the Dolphins in the potty here, so on the potty. So I feel like I'll give him a shout out. For me, my first win is actually, I don't know if I'm stealing any of your thunder here, but I'm actually going to go the AFC East as a whole, so including the Dolphins, but the whole division I think had a pretty good week. The Bills were the biggest winners in my eyes of this week in the AFC. The Saints might have something to say about that in the whole league, but they were 6-2 going into it, so you can't say they were on struggle street at all, but they weren't playing that good. They dominated it in like the first 3 or 4 weeks, but it was against bad teams. Well, the Dolphins before they kind of hit form, but then I think they played the Jets and something like that. But yeah, this is their first real good performance against a good side. And I think the scoreboard was pretty flattering to the Seahawks in the end. I think they had 2 touchdowns in the last part of the final quarter, which didn't really represent how much of a flogging this match was because the Bills just dominated them in every aspect of the game. The Bills, their offense had been, struggling a little bit recently. So for them to put up 44 points, I know it was against the lackluster Seahawks defense, but pretty good. Allen looks like September Josh Allen once again after a pretty bad month there in October. And yeah, more importantly, their defense. They did concede like 33 points or whatever, but a few of the players who have been underperforming this year started to make a few plays on the weekend, and they look like they're slowly returning to last year's defensive form. So if they can get that going and then combine it with their offense, it's looking a lot better this year. They're going to be a tough team to play in the playoffs, I reckon, because they're looking pretty nice.
Yep, agreed.
And then the other 2 teams in this division, the Patriots versus the Jets, they played each other, and I think got to credit these 2 teams. Everyone in the league, everyone in the NFL community, and even myself, I was like not keen for this match at all. Thought it was going to be rubbish. Went to the beach during it because I just didn't care. But it has to be said, it was actually a lot better game than we were expecting. Flacco put on a bit of a first half clinic. And yeah, the Jets just looked way better with Perryman, Mims, and Crowder. They played their first game all together, their 3 main wideouts, and yeah, they just looked heaps better. It looks like New England's finally found a wide receiver in Jacoby Myers. He's beasted now for 3 weeks straight, I think it is. And then Rex Burkhead, I think he had a game in like week 3 where he really stood up, and then yeah, he kind of took over this game in the second half. He really put on a show, and yeah, Newton, he didn't have like ridiculous passing yards or anything like that, but he was very efficient in the air, and he ran for 2 touchdowns as well, I think. So Patriots just got up, but I think ultimately both teams, I think fair play to them. They gave us a relatively decent Monday night footy game yesterday, so appreciate that. I don't think either team like has much hope going forward. I think they're both well and truly out. But interesting to know, I did tweet this, so get around me on Twitter if you don't. But the Jets last year, they were 1-7, I think, going into week 9, and then they went 6-3 in the second half of the year. So let's it'll be interesting to track their progress for the rest of the year. Maybe Trevor Lawrence in the back of the mind as well.
I couldn't believe that, by the way. Like, I do not remember the Jets turning it
I
up in
know.
the second half of the year last year. We're talking, I thought they went 4-12.
Yeah, no, I remember that when I was doing my predictions at the start of this year. I was looking at everyone's record last year. I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins did the same thing as well.
Yeah,
I
I
think the
remember the
Dolphins,
Dolphins doing it though, just not the Jets. I just thought,
because I think I might be wrong, but I think the Dolphins and Jets played each other in like week 7 or something, and it was like, yeah, people were saying like who's going to tank more, and then I'm pretty sure they both like actually came home pretty strong, and I think the Dolphins got like 5 wins and the Jets had like 7. So
yeah,
yeah, kind of surprising, but yeah, who knows? So those teams with bad records maybe don't completely forget about them just yet. They might have a bit to say about the playoff picture and might get a few upset wins. And yeah, looking forward to what the Jets can do from here because they looked a lot better. Who's your next winner?
yeah, huge one here. The Saints offense. Michael Thomas finally came back in after about 9 weeks, and the offense just absolutely clicked. He didn't produce huge numbers himself, but he takes out their best corner. Safety's got to watch him, whatever, and it just frees up the entire offense. And they were moving the ball with absolute ease. Drew Brees still wasn't passing more than 2 meters at a time, but doesn't need to. They were moving it up like they were versing a high school team. Tampa did play like shit, but they still have a great defense, and the Saints just balled out. So it looks like they're back to being the real deal.
Yeah, they looked so good. Like that offense was insane. It was
Yeah.
good to finally see everyone back healthy. I don't think they had a single offensive piece out injured. So yeah, it was good to see what it looked like at full force. And I kind of felt like a bit of an idiot. They were my Super Bowl winner prediction back in like July, whenever we did those prediction episodes, and I felt a bit stupid about that. But yeah, on Sunday night, yeah, felt a lot more comfortable with my decision. I think there's still a
Yeah.
chance. I think don't know where you sit on this, but I reckon they're right up there in the NFC now, even though it's just been one comprehensive win and the rest of their season's still been shaky. But I think that's how good the win was.
Yep,
But
I
yeah,
agree.
Taysom Hill, Taysom Hill, strangest footballer of all time, I reckon. Like, it is unreal what that bloke can do. And then their defense finally had a good game. They've been struggling all year, and they put on a clinic. The pass rush was elite. Trey Hendrickson, he had I think 2 sacks. He had one period where he almost had 3 in a row, and then one was there was a flag from another player elsewhere. And yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I actually reckon the Michael Thomas injury might actually help the Saints because I think they learn how to play without him, and then putting him back in, he's more just like a complementary piece rather than him being the main thing, and then everyone works around him. So I think the Thomas injury, in hindsight, might have actually helped the Saints out, but we'll see how they go in the next few weeks. That might have just been a one-off. He might go back to 20 catches a game or whatever. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, very exciting signs for the Saints. Before we move on to the next one, just a reminder to subscribe to the channel. Hate doing this, but we get a lot of viewers, but not too many subscribers. So would be nice to see if you hit the red button. Do you have any more
And the
winners to
like
talk
button
about?
as well.
Yeah, around it all, mate.
Um, yeah, I've got one more, and that is the New York Giants. Got this is a bit of bias because I like them for some reason, but got up against the Washington football team, and surprisingly, they're only 1 win out of top spot in their division. I think 1 win, 1 draw, maybe. So
Yeah,
if you look at it that way, they're still a sniff. And to be honest, considering the injuries they've copped this season, or if they had all those players like Saquon Barkley, then I reckon they would be right in the hunt. Obviously, they'd still be like 3-6 or whatever. But I mean, that division's so bad. But I reckon they are actually sniffs
I
going
think they're
forward.
all still sniffs, to be honest. Like I
Yeah,
don't even write out.
except Washington.
I don't even know though because there's so many divisional games left. and like the Washington have Detroit this week. I know Detroit would be the favorites going into it, but a win there, which is not off the cards. All of a sudden they're 3 wins and they're not too far away from top spot. But yeah, they probably are the weakest link, especially in terms of offense. But
huge game this week. Giants Philly, the second
yeah,
fixture, that'll be huge.
Yeah, it's even though it's a bit of a piss take, everyone's been taking the piss out of this division. It's actually going to provide some interesting divisional matchups in the second half of the year because every team's in it. So every time there's an NFC East game on, we know it's got huge playoff implications. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'll have you know, Philly actually have the hardest strength of schedule in that division remaining. So that's quite interesting as well. My final winner is the Vikings. All of a sudden, they're a sniff for a wild card, I reckon. They've come back from the dead.
It hurts.
Yeah, they've gone. They currently have a record of 3-5. I think in their last 5 matches, they've gone 3-2. They've beaten the Packers and Detroit in back-to-back matches. And out of that 3-5 record, they've had 2 1-point losses. So if you turn those into wins, they could have been sitting at 5-3. But yeah, they're really looking good at the moment. They have the second highest strength of victory in the NFC. And I was looking at some of the fixtures remaining. They've got the 9th easiest fixture remaining. In the next month, they've got the Bears, Cowboys, Panthers, and Jags. So a huge game against the Bears this week. But if they can beat the Bears, then they can honestly win those next 3 games, and they'll be sitting at 7-5, and you'd probably have to write them in for the wildcard spot. But yeah, if they score first or score early, they're pretty hard to stop because then they just give the ball to Dalvin all the time. And
Chicago has an elite run D though.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup. But good thing for the Vikings is the Bears probably won't score too many points, so they'll probably be able to run it for most of the game. I think the Vikings kryptonite are the teams who can put up like 30 points because then the Vikings kind of have to start throwing it a bit more.
That's a good point.
But yeah, if they get up early against the Bears, even with that good run defense, it's going to be hard to stop them because they're just on fire. Well, Dalvin Cook's on fire at the moment. So yeah, that was my final winner. Do you want to go into your losers now?
Yes. So first up, Tom Brady in Tampa. Pretty much the inverse to the Saints one, but he got absolutely embarrassed, and I read that it was the first time in his entire career, he's been playing for about 20 years, that he's ever trailed by 30 points in a match. Yeah. So yeah, he just got completely embarrassed, and I'd be worried about Tampa, but I still have them above the Saints. I still reckon they'll take the division.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I still think they'll win it, but in terms of I think the Saints are better than them. So, but I just think the Buccaneers will, just with the remaining fixture, I think they'll win that division still. But yeah, the Saints went up to 3rd favorite for the title.
And
which I thought was pretty interesting.
That's where the Bucks were, I think. Well, they might have even been 2nd.
Yeah, Bucks dropped down to 6th, I think. Yeah. So, it was a pretty big game. The punters strongly reacted to it. But yeah, they got absolutely smashed, didn't they? Every aspect. Did you see they broke the record for the least carries ever in a match?
Really?
Ever, of all time. And they had 5, and one was a quarterback kneel. So realistically, there was only 4. This is the most ever in history since 1923 or whenever it started.
They had all of their offensive weapons too. AB, Godwin, Evans, Gronk, and I don't know. I actually don't know what happened.
Yeah, but for me, more of a concern was the defense. Like, I know that offense shouldn't be scoring 3 points, whatever they scored, but that defense is like meant to be the best part of that team, and they conceded 38 points. And as you said, they look like a high school defense, just getting outclassed those first 3 or 4 drives from the Saints. If it wasn't for Jared Cook, they could have scored 50 plus. Like
what did Jared Cook do?
I think pretty sure he fumbled one on the
yard
line.
Yeah, he did.
And then there was another one on like the 5th drive. He did something else that cost the lads. I can't remember what he did, but he had 2 plays that kind of cost the boys. But for me, it's starting to get a little bit worrying about the Bucks though. They lost to the Bears, almost lost to the Giants, and now this. Like, that's 3 slip ups in 9 weeks, it's starting to get a little bit worrying for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, and especially with the Bucks, like we thought they were going to start slow and get better every week. So yeah, it's quite interesting that they've had a few mishaps at this stage of the season, but definitely not writing them off at all. But yeah, interesting how they're going recently. I'll go this one because I don't reckon you'll have it. My first loser is the Bears. They've kind of been faking it all year. We've talked about it on this show all the time, how bad they are. But they had a 5-1 record, so you couldn't really go in on them. But they've gone 0-3 in the last 3 matches, and they now sit at 5-4.
You love to see it.
Yeah, big loss to the Titans on the weekend. It was a pretty big match for both sides. I think if the Bears won it, they would have been 6-3, and it would have been hard to see them miss out on the wild card spot from there. But yeah, now they still have an easy fixture to go. They've got the 7th easiest, and they've got to play teams like the Lions and stuff. So they're definitely not out of the playoff picture. But with Matt Nagy's play calling, it's probably some of the worst in the competition. Like you'll have a 3rd and 8, and they'll give it to Montgomery, who's averaging 2 yards per carry. Like, not sure about the logic there. But yeah, as I mentioned, the run game's not working. Montgomery's struggling to get over 3.5 yards per carry, and now he's injured. Nick Foles is just getting destroyed week in, week out. Pretty much every passing attempt he makes, he's like a second away from getting decked. So, yeah, big worries at the Bears, and I almost hope they miss out on the playoffs because they will be so boring in the playoffs. Whoever they all play will make such a boring match because they legit. The only way they can win is by keeping teams under 20 points. Like that's all they can do. So, yeah, pretty frustrating. But I still think they're a chance to make it. I'll talk about it in our next segment where we predict a playoff bracket. Whether I think they'll get there, but yeah, not looking good in the last month for the Bears.
They should genuinely sign Matt Ryan from Atlanta, just so they can grab.
They should have made a move for a QB, I reckon, or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Do you reckon if they had like a genuine like top 12 QB in the league, like Matt Ryan or someone like that, they would be in the window?
Nah, I don't reckon.
They would make the playoffs though.
Yeah, I still think they're a good chance to make the playoffs. I just think their offense completely cooked in pretty much every aspect. So yeah, I don't know if a beast quarterback would even change it, but maybe, I don't know. Who's your next loser?
My next loser is Seattle. Just their defense is on pace to concede the most yards in a season of all time this year, and they're like, are they 6-2? So basically, if Russell Wilson doesn't play absolutely off his face, then they're not going to win. So to be that reliant on one player is not a good sign. And it was shown this week against the Bills where their defense just could not handle anything. So like with that defense, I don't think they can be considered a genuine threat to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I was looking at some of the odds before, and I think their Super Bowl odds were too good. Like, I think they should be
way lower.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think they might have been better than the Packers and the Bucks, which I completely disagree with.
Yeah,
but yeah, their defense, like the Packers are in a similar situation where their defense is flawed, but Seattle's is just that much worse.
Yeah.
When's
it's going to be Jamal Adams back though? Like I
think he came back on the weekend.
Oh, did he? He's not going to rescue their defense.
Pretty sure. I don't know 100%. I think I remember. Oh yeah, I can't because I didn't watch that game. I watched the other one. I only watched this one in the last quarter. So I think he came back there on the weekend. But yeah, if he didn't come back, I think it's soon. But yeah, one play is probably not going to make a difference. Yeah. So yeah, worrying signs for the Seahawks. Pete Carroll in his press conference, he said they thought they were going to run the ball a lot more and they had a really good game plan for their run, but they weren't ready for the pass. Some of the strangest coaching of all time there, but fair enough. And yeah, I don't know where you stand, but I think Russ's MVP credentials starting to dwindle a little bit. I think he had 3 interceptions or something, but more importantly, the team, if they're not looking as dominant, and I think they're going to need to, have 12 plus wins for him to get the MVP. And I think each week Rodgers and Mahomes are starting to catch him, if not overtake him, even Kyler. So, he's got to get back to that form. Not like he's been out of form or anything, but he's got to keep balling if he wants to stay ahead of the pace.
Yep, agreed.
My next loser is actually like inverse of the AFC East, just the whole NFC West, Seahawks included. But yeah, 49ers, they got pretty, like the scoreboard wasn't too bad. I think it was like 34-17 or something, but the 49ers got absolutely bashed by the Packers there. First game with Kittle and Jimmy G on IR, and it didn't look great. The offense, they were missing a lot of weapons, but it didn't look too good. The defense struggled. Mullins didn't look great against a pretty average defense. They're now 4-5 with the Saints this week, and then they've got the bye, and then they've got the Rams and the Bills. So I think we can almost all but put a line through the 49ers.
Yeah, they're cool.
I think it would be very hard for them to make it from here. And then the Cardinals lost an important game to the Dolphins. I think they're still likely to make the playoffs, but yeah, the NFC West, Seahawks are probably like pretty much guaranteed to win that division, I reckon. But for the other three, their wild card chances all took a hit this week, even the Rams, because of like the Saints and stuff having a good week. So yeah, not good for the NFL's best division, the NFC West, well, supposed best division. Do you have another loser?
Yeah, the Patriots, especially their defense, conceding 27 points to the Jets. And I mean, I don't want to accuse them of tanking, but the last 10 minutes, they pretty much just threw the game away. Like, the Jets should never have lost that match. I think Flacco threw a pick, and then they let the Patriots score and then quickly get another field goal. But yeah, the Patriots looked very average. Newton didn't look great. I know he has no weapons, but he missed some wide open targets in the second half, which didn't look too good. But the main worry, is their defense. Like, they're still known to be like an elite defense, but they're just not performing. Like, especially their corners. Like, I don't know what Gilmore's doing this season. I think he's not even their best corner anymore. JC Jackson is ranked higher than him, which is quite weird. But yeah, to concede 300 yards to Joe Flacco and the Jets is not great.
Yeah,
ugly performance.
Yeah, I was listening to a potty, and they were saying they reckon Gilmore's performance is down because the pass rush isn't there. But yeah, pretty much all aspects of the defense is pretty cooked this year. I feel bad for them because they let those players in free agency go, not knowing that like 2 months later, half the defense was going to opt out. But it's not good footy from them at all. And they're, can we say 100% out of playoffs? Can we say that?
100%.
I think we can. I agree with you there. 100% gone.
They might cop a top 10 draft pick.
And there's that stat going around that they haven't drafted a Pro Bowler since 2013. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with that top 10 pick.
It's a miracle! Oh yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.